No one is ever truly themselves. Not even you. You're not in control, not of your thoughts, not of your choices. And the most terrifying part? You still feel free. You're not driving the car called your life. You're just a passenger in a system built long before you arrived. Every decision you believe you made was already shaped for you, and yet you still feel free. Niccolò Machiavelli didn't write to comfort you. He didn't care about morality, values, or belief systems. He never asked what life should be. He simply described it as it is. And for that, they called him a devil, because he dared to speak one brutal truth. Control doesn't need violence. It only needs understanding. Understanding how the human mind works, often better than the mind itself. This isn't about learning to manipulate others. It's about protecting yourself from those already manipulating you, with smiles, with compliments, with choices you think you made. This is the map of the human psyche Machiavelli left behind for those brave enough to stay awake in a world built on silent lies. Are you ready? Because what comes next won't be easy to hear. But if you're strong enough, it might change the way you see everything forever. Part 1. Human nature is not what you think. They told you people are good, that we're rational, driven by conscience, that deep down, everyone means well. Machiavelli saw something else. He looked beyond the stories, beyond the ideals, and saw the raw engine that truly drives human behavior. Not reason, not morality, but two brutal forces, fear and self-interest. He wrote, "Men are so simple and so obedient to their present needs that he who deceives will always find someone willing to be deceived." This wasn't cynicism. It was precision. While philosophers argued about how people should behave, Machiavelli mapped how they actually do. He saw that when push comes to shove, people abandon truth for comfort. They discard principles for survival. They trade loyalty for opportunity. Not because they're evil, because they're human. You want to believe your friend would stand by you in crisis, but when that moment comes, they often disappear. You want to believe crowds support justice, but when the cost rises, they shift. They protest today but celebrate the same power tomorrow if it promises safety. Machiavelli didn't hate this about people. He simply observed it. He accepted the battlefield for what it was. And in doing so, he saw what others missed. Morality is often just theater. People judge you not by your intent, but by your outcome. They don't care if you were honest, if your honesty made you weak. They don't care if you meant well, if you lost. In this world, the appearance of goodness often matters more than actual goodness. Let that sink in. The one who looks loyal, sounds competent, acts virtuous in public is often praised. Even behind the scenes, they manipulate, lie, or cheat, while the one who quietly works, delivers results, but doesn't play the game is forgotten. This isn't fair, but it is real. And Machiavelli's genius was to build power strategies not against human nature, but in harmony with it. He saw people not as they wished to be, but as they were when no one was watching, and that gave him a brutal advantage. He knew people crave safety more than they crave truth. They follow strength and abandon weakness. They admire the mask more than the man. So he built systems not to change people, but to predict them, to navigate the jungle with eyes wide open. And in doing so, he created a playbook that still works 500 years later, because nothing has changed. Not really. Politicians still sell hope while hiding compromise. Bosses still praise teamwork while rewarding those who take credit. Lovers still make promises they don't intend to keep, because in the moment, it's easier to lie. If this makes you uncomfortable, good. That means you're finally seeing clearly. You can wish for a better world, but you will lose in this one unless you understand what you're up against. Machiavelli was hated because he refused to lie. He told the truth. People are not led by principle, but by pressure. And the sooner you understand that, the sooner you stop expecting consistency from the inconsistent and loyalty from the opportunistic, the sooner you can act with clarity and protect yourself. This is the first step, the brutal awakening, the moment you realize the game was never about being good. It was about being aware, because those who don't understand human nature get used by it, but those who do get to shape it. Part 2, fear or love, the hidden mechanics of influence. They tell you to lead with love, to earn loyalty through kindness, inspiration, and warmth. But Machiavelli asked a darker question, one that cuts through the fantasy. Is it better to be loved or feared? His answer was simple. If you cannot be both, it is far safer to be feared than loved. Because love is a beautiful lie. It lasts only when it's easy, only when it costs nothing. But fear endures. People claim they love you until it becomes inconvenient, until they have something to lose, until a better option appears. Then suddenly the love fades, the promises dissolve, the loyalty vanishes. Machiavelli wrote, "Men are ungrateful, fickle, quick to shift when danger comes." But fear holds them steady. Because fear is not an emotion, it's an instinct. It doesn't ask for fairness. It doesn't need reasons. It simply obeys. That's why the leader who rules with love risks losing control the moment affection fades. The one who commands fear is obeyed, even in silence. This isn't about cruelty. It's about control. Machiavelli made a crucial distinction. A wise ruler must never become hated, because hatred inspires rebellion. But fear, when used carefully, creates control without resistance. The goal is not terror. The goal is predictable consequence. Fear works best not when it's loud, but when it's consistent. The fear of losing a position, the fear of missing out, the fear of subtle punishment, of exile, of being ignored. This kind of fear doesn't need shouting. It doesn't need threats. It only needs presence. The boss who is friendly with everyone struggles to maintain respect. The one who sets clear boundaries is obeyed, maybe not loved, but always respected. The partner who gives endlessly, hoping to be cherished, often ends up used. The one who can walk away sets the terms of the relationship. Why? Because power lies not in giving, but in being needed. The more someone needs your approval, your support, your connection, the more control you hold. Machiavelli understood this deeply. He knew that real power is silent. It doesn't beg to be loved. It doesn't chase affection. It builds structures where being in your favor is the path of least resistance. Stepping out of line has a price. That's why, in every group, those who are feared a little, respected deeply, and understood rarely hold a real influence. They don't need to dominate. They just need to be unignorable. The hidden architecture of influence. Think about your life, your job, your family, your friendships. Who is the power? The one who fears being abandoned, or the one who could walk away without losing sleep? That is a hidden architecture of influence, to create an environment where others adjust to you. Because not adjusting comes at a cost. This isn't cruelty. It's design. It's structure. And the key is balance. Fear without hatred. Respect without resentment. Give just enough love to remain human, but never so much that it makes you disposable. Build a presence so that when you speak, they listen. When you're silent, they worry. When you walk away, they feel the loss. That is the kind of fear Machiavelli admired. It's not fear of harm. It's fear of absence. The fear of losing access to someone they secretly depend on. The final question. So ask yourself, in your life, are you the one who fears or the one who is feared? Are you leading with clarity or begging with kindness? Because love may feel good, but fear gets results. Part 3, the power of perception. Why appearance beats reality. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are. This single truth explains why some people rise while better people fall. Because in this world, reality doesn't rule, perception does. You could be the most capable, the most honest, the most loyal, but if you don't look like it, if you don't sound like it, if others don't feel it, you'll be ignored, and someone far less worthy will take your place. This isn't fair. But Machiavelli didn't care about fair. He cared about what works, the theater of power. Machiavelli understood that people don't follow truth. They follow stories, images, masks. They judge you by what they can see, and most never look deeper than the surface. His advice wasn't for liars, but for realists. Appear virtuous. Speak like a man of principle. Be seen with the right people. But when the moment calls for it, be ready to change. Because if you stay rigid in a world that's always shifting, you will be broken. This isn't hypocrisy. It's strategy. The world doesn't reward purity. It rewards perception, the spotlight effect. Watch how this plays out. A politician gives one televised speech at a disaster site. He becomes a symbol of compassion. Another works tirelessly behind the scenes, but gets no praise. Why? Because the camera didn't see it. The public didn't feel it. An employee who brags about small wins gets promoted. The quiet genius gets left behind. Why? Because most people don't see substance. They see the spotlight. Machiavelli taught the art of symbolic action. One visible moment, one dramatic gesture, can outweigh years of silent effort. If you want power, you must learn, not just to be, but to be seen. And more importantly, how to control what is seen, controlling the narrative. This means mastering, telling the truth that benefits you, delaying the truth that doesn't, revealing things when people are distracted, delivering bad news wrapped in sweet narratives. The modern world calls this PR. Machiavelli called it survival. He went further. Take personal credit for all good things. Assign unpleasant tasks to others. That way, you become the face of progress. They become the face of punishment. Not cruel, efficient. Because power isn't just about action, it's about image. You must look like the source of blessing. Avoid becoming the target of blame. Become the story people want to believe, the image they trust. Because in the end, the crowd doesn't follow what's real. It follows what feels real, the perception paradox. If you understand this, you can walk into any room and bend its energy, lose a battle but win the narrative, be outnumbered but never outpositioned. And slowly, the world starts to see you as inevitable, necessary. That is the power of perception, the mirror test. So ask yourself, how do people see you? What version of you do they believe? Is it working for you or against you? Because reality can be ignored, but perception moves armies, wins elections, shapes legacies. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to look like it long enough to build what matters. And when the truth comes out, if you've built enough power, they won't care. They'll still follow, because the story is stronger than the facts. Part 4, The Prince's Toolbox. 5 tactics that still work today. Machiavelli didn't write philosophy. He wrote strategy, not vague ideas, but real tools you can use in a world ruled by perception and shaped by fear. Let's open the toolbox. Tool 1, strategic generosity. Men forget the death of their father sooner than the loss of their inheritance. The secret? Give, but make it matter. Make it public. Make sure they know who gave it. Give gifts that create dependence. Anonymous charity builds goodwill. Strategic giving builds power. The modern equivalent? Public sponsorships, visible bonuses, high-profile mentorship. Tool 2, calculated mercy. Never wound an enemy unless you're ready to finish the job. Half measures create resentment. You have 2 options. 1, fully win them over. 2, completely remove them. No middle ground. The boss who fires decisively is respected. The one who demotes creates a future problem. Tool 3, the manufactured crisis. Never waste a good crisis, real or convenient. In chaos, people surrender control. Accept restrictions they normally reject. Beg for strong leadership. Modern applications, corporate restructuring, urgent policy changes, limited time offers that create artificial scarcity. Tool 4, strategic alliance. Become the bridge everyone must cross. In business, control access to key resources. Be the connector people need. Make favors flow through you. The employee who controls client relationships holds more power than their title suggests. Tool 5, predictive consistency. Build the illusion of inevitability. Make bold predictions. Make them come true, even if you have to help them along. Create a track record of being right. Politicians do this with leaked polls. CEOs do it with surprise earnings beats. The more you're seen as predictable in your success, the more power you accumulate. Why these work today? These aren't Renaissance relics. They're alive in corporate ladder climbing, social media influence, modern dating dynamics, political campaigning. The tools haven't changed because human nature hasn't changed. The packaging is just more sophisticated. The warning: these are tools, neither good nor evil. Like a surgeon's scalpel, their morality depends on the hand that wields them. The real Machiavellian question isn't can you use these, but should you? And more importantly, can you spot when they're being used on you? Part 5. The Modern Machiavellian. How power wears a suit and tie. The prince no longer sits on a throne. He sits in a corner office, runs a tech startup, or builds a personal brand. Today's power players have traded dagger for data, but the game remains unchanged. Here's how Machiavellianism evolved for the digital age. 1. The illusion of transparency. Modern manipulators don't hide. They radiate authenticity while carefully curating. Candid social media posts, strategically timed. Vulnerable leadership moments, pre-scripted. Off-the-record comments, designed to spread. 2. Weaponized empathy. The dark art of using emotional intelligence against you. Mirroring your body language to build false rapport. Parroting your values back to you. Using active listening to identify pressure points. 3. Algorithmic manipulation. Digital princes control what you see. Social media feeds that shape reality tunnels. Search results that predetermine truth. Engagement metrics that manufacture consensus. 4. Bureaucratic jiu-jitsu. Modern systems hide power behind. Company policy that suddenly bend for some. HR procedures weaponized against targets. Best practices that just happen to benefit certain players. 5. The charisma mask. Today's most dangerous manipulators have perfected. Calculated informality, the boss who hates titles. Strategic humility, the reluctant leader. Weaponized humor, disguising cuts as jokes. The new battlefield. Machiavelli's war has moved to Slack channels instead of palace halls. Performance reviews instead of royal courts. Viral tweets instead of public decrees. Defense against the dark arts. To spot modern manipulation, watch for patterns, not single actions. Notice who always benefits from neutral systems. Track how culture gets selectively enforced. Identify the unspoken rules behind written ones. The game didn't disappear. It just learned to code. The players didn't become kinder. They became more sophisticated. And the stakes? Higher than ever, because today's princes don't just rule cities. They shape realities. Part 6. The illusion of choice. How you're controlled while feeling free. The modern cage doesn't have bars. It has options. You believe you're making decisions, but the menu was crafted long before you arrived. Machiavelli foresaw this when he wrote, "Men are so simple and so much inclined to obey immediate needs that he who deceives will always find someone who will let himself be deceived." The architecture of false freedom. 1. Controlled opposition systems. Political parties that argue fiercely within set boundaries. Brand rivalries owned by the same parent company. Disruptive startups funded by the establishment. 2. The paradox of abundance. 57 varieties of the same product. Infinite scrolling through identical content. Endless customization of trivial features. 3. Predictive programming. Algorithms that anticipate your desires before you feel them. News cycles that shape what you fear. Social media that manufactures your outrage. The 3 illusions that enslave. Illusion 1, the voting booth delusion. You choose between pre-selected candidates while election rules remain unchanged. Debate topics stay within approved limits. Real power structures avoid scrutiny. Illusion 2, the consumer paradise. You vote with your wallet while all options come from the same few conglomerates. Prices move in suspicious unison. Alternatives mysteriously disappear. Illusion 3, the digital frontier. You believe you're exploring while every click trains their algorithms. Every discovery was placed there for you. Your rebellion becomes a market segment. Modern Machiavellian control methods. 1. The overload principle. Drown dissent in noise. Bury truth under endless content. Make freedom feel exhausting. 2. The participation trick. Get you to enforce the system yourself. Customize your experience equals do their work. Build community equals create their content. 3. The invisible funnel. All roads lead to the same destination. Every alternative somehow serves a mainstream. Even your resistance becomes commodified, breaking the illusion. 1. Spot the menu makers. Who benefits from all possible outcomes? What never appears as an option? Where does the free market suddenly stop? 2. Practice radical awareness. Notice when choices feel suspiciously similar. Detect when all sides agree on fundamentals. Identify the unchangeable rules behind apparent variety. 3. Create genuine alternatives. Build outside existing systems. Support truly independent voices. Value what can't be algorithmically replicated. Machiavelli would recognize our world instantly. The tools have changed. The psychology hasn't. The modern prince doesn't take your freedom. He convinces you to happily surrender it one free choice at a time. Part 7, Strategic Silence, the Weaponized Void. In an age of constant broadcasting, true power lies in mastering the unspoken. Machiavelli understood that what is not said often speaks loudest. Here's how modern operators weaponize absence. The 3 dimensions of silence. 1. Temporal silence, the pause that controls. Delayed responses that create anxiety. Strategic meeting absences that shape outcomes. Withholding approval to maintain leverage. 2. Informational silence, the knowledge gap. Selective transparency that funnels perception. Calculated leaks that direct attention. Missing data points that distort reality. 3. Emotional silence, the unreadable face. Poker face negotiations. Neutral reactions that disarm manipulators. Blank slate personas that others project onto. Modern applications of silent power. In business, the CEO who speaks 10% less than expected. The quiet promotion, responsibilities increase without announcement. The meeting where the most powerful person says least. In digital spaces, the unanswered DM that creates obsession. The deleted post that sparks more discussion than its presence. The ambiguous status update that triggers speculation. In relationships, the partner who listens 80% of the time. The friend who never overshares. The colleague who never complains, making others' complaints seem petty. The neuroscience behind silence. 1. Pattern interrupt. Brains automatically fill voids, often with worst-case scenarios. 2. Projection effect. People attribute their own fears/motives to your silence. 3. Cognitive dissonance. Your silence forces others to reconcile their own contradictions. Mastering strategic silence. 1. The 30% rule. Always hold back 30% of your opinions, personal information, emotional reactions. 2. The pause protocol. Count 5 beats before responding to loaded questions. Let awkward silences work for you. Answer important emails at 4:53 p.m. when urgency works in your favor. 3. The information diet. Never reveal your true knowledge ceiling. Let others underestimate your awareness. Become known for surprising insights that suggest deeper unseen knowledge. When silence backfires, avoid these traps. Being mistaken for disengaged rather than calculating. Allowing others to narrate your silence negatively. Overestimating how much your silence is being analyzed. The ultimate power paradox. Those who speak constantly drown in their own noise. Those who master silence become the gravitational center others orbit around unconsciously. In a world screaming for attention, the most powerful presence is often a calculated absence.